Our third inductee is Jim Thornton.
Hopefully my work in the district and from a national standpoint had an impact on Pennsylvania. I believe maybe one of the best things that we did was that NATA collects our dues. And I think we almost doubled our budget when we did that, and that was something that I think impacted us. Other than that, hopefully the work that I've done as president of the NATA and as in other capacities has promoted the profession.
As district director, Jim Thornton's most accomplished thing, I believe, is the student delegation that he started the EATA. He brought all our students back, over 500 strong this past year in January in Boston. That is all because of Jim Thornton's insight and what he's done for our profession. People don't realize what that's going to do. That means all those students will keep coming for years to our convention and keep our numbers up. They are so well today. Jim Thornton, what else has he done? Let me tell you, the important thing, as president, Jim Thornton will go down in the annals of athletic training as the greatest NATA president ever had. He's done so many things. He brought the Japan Athletic Training Association in alliance with the NATA. He brought the Youth Summit in sports and the Four Sports Summit together to combine to help our association and meet at the White House with the president and delegations from all the health fields on concussions. He got the NFL and the Professional Football Association's Athletic Trainer Society together to get athletic trainers put in secondary schools in underprivileged areas. That is an accomplishment that's unbelievable.
What makes Jim a great athletic trainer is not only his unbelievable body of knowledge, but his ability to take complicated issues and simplify them. He also has a great number of quotes in his back pocket that helps put people at ease.
I want to relate two somewhat similar stories, both of which speak to the genuine human being that you are. One involved a very good friend of mine, an athletic trainer for over 30 years, who commented to me, unprovoked, about how impressed he was that you moved about the annual meeting with such ease, typically without an entourage, except for maybe Dave Seiler, and interacted with the members like you were no big deal. It left a lasting impression on him and is something that you should be very proud of. When the NATA was last met in Indianapolis, I had the opportunity to speak at the Pinky Newell's student breakfast. I showed up a little bit early to make sure that everything was all set from my end. And I think you were the second person in the room. You stood at the door and you greeted every student who came in the room. Talk about making lasting impressions for a student. When we were students, we were afraid to make eye contact with our leaders.
I don't have enough fingers and toes on my body to count all of Jim's accomplishments and what he's done for the profession of athletic training. One of his early accomplishments that probably people don't even realize or remember anymore was back in 2000 when he was the chair of the District Secretary Treasurer's Committee. There was a push by the NATA to collect state dues. And in order for this to happen, all the states had to agree to do this. And it was Jim's job to kind of go out and convince those states that were on the border or didn't want to do it that this needed to be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Thornton. Well, two things. First of all, I have to follow that and that. That's the first thing. Second thing is I'm fully aware of that I'm the guy that is standing in the way of you all going out in the hallway and drinking as much beer as you possibly can in those $20 glasses. President Sancholi, past President Moyer, President-elect Roberts, Yvette Ingram, and the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, and ATA, district and state officers, present Hall of Fame members, my fellow inductees of 2016, friends and honored guests. I feel like a cow. walking in tall grass. I'm utterly tickled. Seriously, I'm truly honored to be here with all of you. I would have never imagined this happening, as I'm somewhat of a transplant from out west to Pennsylvania. And breaking into a crowd is sometimes difficult when you're not born there. This was not the case with PATS. The closeness of the people in this association is like none other I have ever seen, and I've seen almost every one of them. I also believed that this honor was for people that have been in service specifically for the state. My experience in volunteerism took a different turn for a period of 17 years or so, as I was involved in district and national offices almost exclusively. I'm grateful that the committee saw that although my state service was minimal during this time, that it had a positive effect on the issues in the state I now call home. These events are usually packed full of thank yous and are boring as heck for the people in the room that don't know the people I'm about to mention. That said, perhaps you should get to know this list of people. They will make you a better AT and person. So please bear with me for a moment, as I must do some thanking, but I promise not to do an AJ. Or a Ludwikowski, for that matter. First and foremost, I want to thank my family and their support during my volunteer time to the profession. Everyone in the room understands that you can't serve in this profession, or work in this profession for that matter, without the support of your partner and family. They meant the missed ball games and choral concert or two, my wife having to go to events and parties alone sometimes while I was gallivanting around the country or other places, was difficult at times. Their support of me was incredible, and I'm forever grateful. Bridget, Maddie, Macy, and Maya, I love you ladies. I love you all so very much. Likewise, I would like to thank my fellow AT staff at Clarion. Mike Chesterfield and Kristen Carreri ran the show at Clarion during my service as president of the NATA, as you would expect. They never skipped a beat, and I could have never pulled it off without them. I love you both and would like to recognize both of you now. Would you two please stand and be recognized? Other thank yous go to the national, state, and district officers I've worked with over the years. Joe Izzy, Paula Tarosi, Linda Mazzoli, Steve Heckler, Linda and Julie. Can't mention one of those girls without the other. George Roberts, Barry McGlumphy, Gary Hanna, Larry Cooper, John Norwig, Phil Donnelly, Eve Becker Doyle, Chuck Kimmel, and yes, even AJ. And countless others have shaped me as a professional, and through their mentorship and the mentorship of too many others to mention, I would not be standing here today. Catherine Derringer, our District 6 Director, has become one of my closest friends and colleagues. She is a sound individual, businesswoman, and fierce defender of the athletic training profession. She was my finance chair while president, and I can't think of anyone better to serve our profession. Thank you, Catherine. Others of note are Charlie Thompson and Michael Goldenberg. When the three of us were district officers together, we had what I would think was the most diverse religious executive committee ever in the NATA. A Mormon, a Catholic, and a Jew worked hard for District 2. Kind of sounds like a guy walks into a bar joke, doesn't it? Charlie couldn't be here this evening, but I know he is here in spirit. Mike and I and others have often said that the best thing that ever happened to District 2, the EATA and the NATA, was that I beat Mike in the election for District Secretary in 1997, so I've got that going for me. Upon hearing that I'd won, I immediately called Mike and asked that he become our district webmaster. What he has accomplished for those entities from his talent with the web and his meticulous leadership is well documented. In just a few weeks, my brother from another mother will be inducted into the NATA Hall of Fame. Mike is here with us this evening. Mike, please stand and be recognized. I value our friendship and service very much. Congratulations, my friend. Likewise, I've known and worked with my fellow inductees for seems like countless years. Tom is a friend and colleague that I continue to work with through my relationship with California University of Pennsylvania. He is an astute educator that continues to work hard for the profession and education of athletic training students. Rick and I go back to the time when he was at Arizona. I met Rick through a friend of ours, and one of his fellow grad students at Arizona who was an underclassman of mine at Utah State. You remember Pond. Who would have ever thought that in later years we would both be involved as we have been in recent years? Rick was president of PATS at the same time I was of NATA. We developed a relationship and accomplished some things during that time that I believe will benefit the secondary school setting now and significantly in the future. He comes genetically from one of the most well-known ATs in PA. Big Berkey is everyone's grandfather and continues to work the profession and set an example of kind and committed service for all of us. As I contemplated this acceptance, I felt that because of my national service, it would be expected that I come up with some message of eternal truth that would fill the heart of every AT and guest in the room. That's tall order for anyone in this position, so I thought I would tell you a story instead. Go figure. This story is about a young man named Nick. Nick was a wrestler at Clarion University and came to us in 2014 with bilateral post-surgical shoulders. Initially, I thought, wrestler, are you kidding me? Why did we ever bring this kid to Clarion? Nonetheless, he was an accomplished wrestler and was a committed young student athlete. He was in our AT facility every day. He never missed his rehab. He was a polite and respectful young man that was a joy to work with, and our students jumped at the chance to work with him as well as full-time staff. Nick made you feel good about your work as he continually thanked you for helping him. He was a young man that I would have approved dating one of my daughters. I assure you there aren't a whole lot of people out there that made that criteria. Tragically, Nick was killed in a vehicle accident on his way back to Clarion from Pittsburgh. He'd spent a long weekend home with his family and was returning to school. It was a tragic day for all of us at Clarion. We had counselors for the wrestling team and staff to help the grieving process. However, there was a group of people at Clarion that did not get counseling. Not that we needed it though, because athletic trainers are a tough bunch that had rehabs to do, practices and games to work, paperwork, etc. We went on in the life of college athletics. One day I received a call from a man by the name of David Middlemas. Dave is from New Jersey, and I knew of him but was not particularly associated with him at all. He asked how things were at Clarion and the presidency, and we chatted for a few minutes. I actually thought